Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and I am very excited because today is the release of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Dungeons & Dragons Next Edition Basic Rules. So Wizards of the Coast, owned by Hasbro, released the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Basic Rules today as a free PDF. It's over 110 pages long. It's about 110 pages long, and it's all the rules you need to play the newest edition of Dungeons & Dragons, the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. The game's now in its 40th year, which is really amazing. It's really a wonderful thing. And so here in our 40th year, we're getting the 5th edition of the game, and it's the second Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition product that they've put out. First one was a starter set, and now we have the basic rules. And in August, we're going to get the player's handbook, which is going to be pretty awesome as well. But today I'm going to be talking about the basic rules. And wow, it is really exciting to see the basic rules. Now, it just came out today. I spent the morning going over everything in the document, reading all the new parts. The reason why I didn't have to read the whole doc to know it's there is I've been carefully following it for the last 2 years as they built it in one of the largest play tests that's ever been launched. I actually think it was the largest tabletop role-playing game play test that's ever been launched. And it was really fantastic. So it was just, basically, here's what the basic rules are. Really amazing. This is it's one of the biggest experiments that's going on in publication today. You have a company who has a tabletop role-playing game, a company that is in old-school paper publishing, right, who has a huge property that could be on the verge of a huge movie deal. It still has, 40 years of people following the game. It has a lot of credibility, has a lot of street cred behind the name Dungeons & Dragons. It's famous the world over. It's an American product. So what did we get with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition basic rules? And here's what we got. Wizards of the Coast spent 2 years rolling the big game back and making sure that nothing in 4th edition was existent in the game, and that 3.5, the 3.5 Dungeons & Dragons game has been returned to players, which is really amazing. There's only two real differences, just two differences in the new game from 3.5. One is this advantage-disadvantage. So it is a fantastic new innovation in the game. Basically, if your character has advantage for making an attack or for doing a skill check, he'll roll 2d20. He'll roll two 20-sided dice, and he gets to take the highest value. And if he has disadvantage, he has to roll 2d20, two 20-sided dice, and he'll take the lowest value. The other one is there's a nod to storytelling gaming. So Dungeon World has gotten a lot of press recently, and there's people playing it. Fate Core Edition have really advanced tabletop role playing game in storytelling. And so Dungeons & Dragons is saying, hey, Wizards of the Coast, we can get into that too. We can tell awesome stories with our game. So they've added inspiration, traits, flaws, and bonds. Right, and so these two innovations, advantage, disadvantage, and then these storytelling mechanisms are about the only thing. And the storytelling mechanisms are really, there's not a lot of crunch behind them. There's not a lot of rules behind them. They're just saying, hey, we're officially acknowledging that you're going to flesh out your character. And there might be a few small, minor rules, but everything is really Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. So Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition, with very, very minor tweaks, right? So what does this mean? What did Wizards of the Coast really do, right? Well, one is they acknowledged a massive mistake. 4th edition was a massive mistake. I liked 4th edition, but I have to admit, if you make a game and you take your community and you split it in half and make it so that half the community no longer wants to play that game, no matter any way you look at it, that's a failure, right? So they split them in community with 4th edition, and it was harder to actually get a game together than it should have been, right? So that was really important. It's really major, big deal that they split the community with 4th edition. Now, what's interesting is they're rolling everything back. They're saying, hey, everybody loved 3.5. Everybody hated 4th edition. 5th edition is 3.5 with just a few awesome additions, right? Very minor tweaks. You guys can have the game back, right? And I think that's great, right? I think Wizards of the Coast did everything right. They took 2 years to do it. They listened to everybody. I think they really did, put a lot of ideas. They really, people were just saying, give us our old game back, and they listened, right? And I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. If you make a mistake, you can fix it. And that's exciting too. If you make a massive mistake and you're patient and you're diligent and you don't freak out, you can fix your mistake. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Now, the big winner in this, I think, could be Wizards of the Coast. I think they've got a shot at really getting their game back, getting their community back. We don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see how the Player's Handbook does and how the other 3 books do, and how they sell. The big loser here, by far, in my opinion, is Paizo. Because Wizards of the Coast, Paizo makes Pathfinder. Paizo really built a very sizable company, and they really did a great job of giving people 3.5 when Wizards of the Coast took it away. Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. That's exact. Pathfinder is Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 in the period where Wizards of the Coast was no longer making 3.5. But now, Wizards of the Coast is making Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 again. It's called Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, but it really is Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, right? And so, Paizo could be in huge trouble, right? Because essentially, Wizards of the Coast has been saying, you've been playing in our yard, get out of our yard. Jump back over the fence, leave, because we're taking it back. And Pathfinder could be in some serious trouble. I think that Wizards of the Coast has done a great job, and I don't see any real reason for people to need to play Pathfinder before. When 4th edition was out, and you could not put together 6 Dungeons & Dragons, 6 guys who like to play, 5 players and a DM who like to play 4th edition, you were lucky to find 3, and 3 people didn't like it, then you definitely should basically, there was a reason to play Pathfinder. There was a real need for that game. That is gone, right? If you want to play Dungeons & Dragons, there's no reason to jump over to Pathfinder. The best art in the world is going to be on the Dungeons & Dragons game. They're returning to it. You got great great rules, great storytellers, great rules makers. Huge loss for Paizo. They are in serious trouble if they do not adjust their business model and tack. Now, I think they can. I think they can do something. I'm not sure what it is, but they need to change up their business model. They need to pay attention, because Wizards of the Coast is saying, hey, you had a great time playing with our world. You had a great time with the copy of our game, but we are coming back for everything. We are